say age ain't nothing but a number, as seen in this next story with Anne Centner. Anne with an E is representing South Africa at the World Masters Athletics Championship that's happening in Gothenburg, Sweden. And thank you so much for making time to be with us and for sharing your story. Congrats on also representing South Africa this time round.
Much indeed. No,
I mean, we're obviously trying to understand what a typical day looks like for you. Perhaps also your state of readiness as you edge closer to departing.
Well, I must say I don't have a coach. I am my coach. So it depends on how I wake up in the morning as to what I'm going to do. But I do have people that are encouraging me, inspiring me, and I really appreciate these sort of people. But if I wake up and I think, okay, today's a weight day, or tomorrow is a 10-kilometer day, I'm not very disciplined. I do what I want, but that's in my personality. So, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a challenge that I want to enjoy, and hopefully will.
Well, it also seems like the process has been the purpose for you, because there's a lot of elements that go into getting ready for these world championships. Perhaps you could speak to your diet and, upon waking up, what's the first thing you do to get into the zone?
The first thing I do is to feel those damn old bones that are not talking, or rather are talking to me. And then I tell them that that's not good enough. And I would like to say I spring out of bed, but I don't really. I'm a vegetarian. I have a very simple diet. I love raw vegetables, yogurt, dairy products. And again, I eat what I feel like eating, and it seems to work for me. I haven't had meat for about 30-40 years, and I didn't do it for any moral reasons, but I just felt so good. So that is my diet. And people say, how do you have the energy with all of that? But your body hangs on to what it needs to hang on to. And that's how I get my energy.
And so speaking about energy, I mean, you're representing the country this time round in the 80 to 84 years of age category. How would you have gotten involved in race walking and ultimately decided that you're good enough to go and represent the country, and now you're 4 seconds away from breaking that world record?
Well, I only started running when I was 63. And then I was doing it because I lived in Knysna. The environment was beautiful to run by the estuary and up the mountains. And then also I entered the Kalahari marathon, extreme marathon, which was a 7-day self-sufficiency. And I decided, well, that sounds quite adventurous, and I'm open to all these sort of things. And I do it for enjoyment. I am competitive, but I have to put that aside because I'm not competing against other people. I'm competing against myself, and that's my philosophy. And as I say, it gradually got more and more. There was the extreme marathon, and then there were half marathons. And then my legs were saying to me, after a double knee replacement, they said to me, no, come on, no. Let's try race walking, which I did, and it became something quite natural for me to go from running into here. The orthopod said, I'm not going to tell you not to run because I know your state of mind. So go ahead and do what you can.
So, and for those who don't know, what is race walking? And in terms of the support that you have received, you've spoken about people who've really been there for you along the journey, the relationships you've also fostered. Who comes to mind on that front for you?
There are a lot of people. My family, first of all, thought I was absolutely mad. But, they're used to me with this madness, and they think, what's she going to do next? But otherwise, there are certain people that have been very, very inspiring. Brenda actually introduced me to race walking. She saw me walking very fast, and she said, it looks as if you could be race walking. Kevin also, who's just come here, he has been very inspiring. And in fact, at races, he will come to me and say, what time did you do it? And I'll tell him and say, well, you've broken a record. And for me, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know these sort of things. So there are a lot of people that have been encouraging in all sorts of ways. And at least now my family have come aboard because they know that I'm now serious about this.
Well, speaking about serious and being serious, and also just the mindset shift that perhaps people around you would have had to have also you to encourage yourself to keep going, to trust yourself as well. What would you say has been your secret to success?
I think when challenges come, there's a negativity in you. Always flip that coin, because there's always a positivity that will appear and you can learn from. So I think it helps being open-minded, the adventurous spirit in me. I'm not going to stop exploring, and that's what keeps me going. New things inspire me, and there is so much more on my to-do list, my bucket list, that I'm not sure whether I'm going to have time, but I'm going to try and make time for all those wonderful things that give me such inspiration.
You've had an illustrious journey on during your lifetime. I mean, we were speaking about all the feats that you've accomplished. You spoke about your desert races. You've spoken about traveling the world as well. You were born on the 1st of January, 1944. I mean, that alone is making you someone rather special. What would your childhood have looked like? What would have been the influences that would have, driven you to embrace who you are, to go forth and be and take the world by storm?
I think I was a rebel at heart, and the way I was brought up was quite Victorian, and I just kicked against the pricks. And it came after I'd been given my education. I decided I'm going to go and attend the University of the World. And I am so grateful for that, because it taught me tolerance, respect, things that the universities don't cover at all. And I'm so privileged to have been able to travel for those 12 years and learn about other cultures, other religions, and understand where they are. So it is a very privileged life I've had. And I think my childhood taught me to survive. And I think that's what it's all about, is survival.
Well, speaking of surviving, what would have been your biggest challenge to date? What would have been your biggest feat to date? What advice do you also have for those who've tuned in and really draw inspiration from your story?
I think is to set your goals. And like the Kalahari Extreme Marathon, it was something at my age of 67 that was sort of unheard of, this old woman thinking she can survive for 7 days, self-sufficiency. But it's to put your mind to it and just to tell yourself that you can do it. And where there's a will, there's a way. And I really believe this. And if you've got an approach to life that you must just grab whatever opportunity there is, take it and deal with it. If you take the wrong road, there's always something you learn from that wrong road, and you just return to the fork and take the right road.
And I dare ask what's next, because it seems like you still have an entire bucket list. But just before your departure, I mean, what's going to go into your training for this last few weeks before you leave at the end of July? And what else can we expect from you?
What you can expect from me, I'll have to let you know about that. Okay. What I'm going to do now is to prepare myself mentally and physically. And I just believe that this is a great privilege that I'm able to do this, and I hope that I can do South Africa proud and come back with a gold and hopefully a world record. But if I don't, I'm still thrilled that I've had the opportunity to do it.
Well, Anne, that's where I'm going to leave the conversation. Thank you for joining us and for making time to share your story, for flying the flag high for South Africa, making us loudly and proudly South African, and we're wishing you all the best of luck.
Thank you very, very much, and I hope I will be able to dangle the gold in front of you.
Well, fingers crossed. We're rooting for you all the way.
Thank you so much.